I think this is a time that I don't know if it's unprecedented or not, but this is a time for leaders to step up. And when there is chaos, this is a time for greater leadership. This is when leadership actually steps up and serves. Welcome to the Badass Dad Podcast. KDH here on the microphone in the Iron Yeti studios with my friend. How you feeling today?
Good, Kevin. How are you, man?
I'm doing well, Stephen. Man, here it is. We are recording this on Sunday, November 1st, just 48 hours before Election Day, where the world is totally going to change. And so probably I don't even know if we're going to be able to release this or not because the world may have imploded or something may have happened.
The world's coming to an end. I've been told by both sides.
Yeah, both sides.
The world is coming to an end.
And
Neil deGrasse Tyson said that an asteroid is going to hit on Monday, tomorrow.
Monday. Anyway, so there won't even be an election.
We're good.
Okay. So who knows? Maybe this ends up in the ethos someplace. But, man, it really is funny. I want us to dive a little bit sort of into politics. We're going to talk a little bit about that. But I want to talk about it. Now, understand that we are doing this kind of like a prophet. We're doing this days before the event happens. We'll release this a couple days after Tuesday, Election Day, which who knows? We may not even know who won by then. Okay, but after Tuesday, come Wednesday, that would be what, November 4th, I believe. Wednesday will be. I just have a sneaky feeling. I don't know. Call me crazy. I think the sun's going to come up.
You're still going to have to get your workout in.
You still got to do your burpees.
Yes.
No one's doing your burpees for you. The sun's going to come up. The sun's going to go down. I don't know, but I still think the gas company and the electric company still wants to get paid. My truck still needs fuel. I know my 9-year-old's still going to want new shoes.
Kids are still going to need to be educated. You're still going to go to work.
Things are going to happen. And now, please understand. I mean, I am a person. I am a person of faith. Hopefully, I'm a man of courage. And there is an intersection of these things. And I hope people went and voted. I hope people decided to exercise their right as an American citizen to go out there and let their voice be heard, regardless if you won or you lost. Let's understand that this is a new day, and if your side won or your side lost, you still got to go out there and get after it. If you like the hand that was dealt, great. I think that's sometimes even tougher.
I think it is, and I'm going to challenge you on this, though.
Okay.
And you invited me.
I did. I invited you, but I gave you tons of preparation, so you have tons of notes over there.
The whole idea of winning and losing, like your side won or you're lost. I hope everybody voted, but I really think either way we have to move on, and I can't think of it in terms of winning and losing. I really can't, because, like you said, no matter what, we're going to have to get up and go to work in the morning.
Yep. And
we're going to have to work through whatever decisions that president makes. And we're still going to have to move forward. And honestly, I'm just going to leave it there. Well, you got to work.
Okay. I have been documenting on this podcast the rise and now fall of the football season that happened, with my oldest son, Jacob. And, my good friend, JT Anderson, he wrote the book Outside the Lines. And so now I can't really say I'm experiencing Outside the Lines because we just finished the football season. We lost in the Super Bowl 21-20. But if my whole focus in coaching the boys and coaching my son was to win the Super Bowl, then it was a loss. But to be honest, the emotions that I felt after the game, a little bit with the loss. Okay, yes, we lost by 1 point in the Super Bowl. Most of the emotions were, this is the last time I'm ever going to be on the sidelines with my son again. And so now I look and I go, was it a win or was it a loss? To me, a total win. The opportunity to be on the sidelines for those 3 years with them, I wouldn't trade it for anything. I wouldn't trade it for the trophy. I mean, I am so thankful for that. And I love what you said, because whoever is sitting in the Oval Office, at the end of the day, They're not really paying my bills. They're not doing my burpees. They're not determining if my kids are going to grow up, or what kind of household they're going to grow up in. They're not going to be the ones that are going to do that. It's going to be us as badass dads and what we decide to do. And so I think so many people have got caught up and they're so wrapped up in, man, I'm blue, I'm red, I'm this, I'm purple, I'm libertarian, I'm independent, I'm an anarchist, I'm okay. So what? The election is done. What are we going to do now?
I agree with you. And this quote has gotten me in trouble recently, but,
all right, be careful now.
But I still love it because I still believe it deep in my heart. And I believe most people will understand it. And it's something along the lines of this, that the answer to all of our problems, the answer to the problems of humanity, is the quote, lies in the integrity of the individual. It lies in my individual actions and what I do as a person for my fellow man or woman. That's where all of our answers lie. And once we get hooked up on we think that our life is somehow in control of somebody else, that's where we get in trouble. And that's where we get wrapped up in thinking that the person sitting in the Oval Office has direct control over my life. And that may be true in certain respects. But on the day-to-day level, on Sunday, November 1st, I'm in charge of how my day goes. I'm in charge of the impact I have on other people. I'm in charge of the love that I put out into the world. They're not.
Yeah. And I would echo that. And, using, a good improv technique, yes, and. So in addition to that, I'm going, we can't let the lack of integrity, the emotions, the name calling of other people affect us, the cancel culture to affect us, those who want to point fingers or call names or whatever to have a huge, impact. And not saying that pain can't be real. If someone says someone calls you a name, okay, I might get that, but we get to choose how we're going to respond to it. So,
and I think that's lost right now. I think we get to choose how we react. Someone's going to call me a name on social media, and someone brought this up in a very famous podcast that I listened to. But they said that we tend to look at Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, whatever that is, and we tend to assume that bullying culture, those 37 people who made fun of me, is a sample set for the entire world, and that's not true.
Right?
That's really not true. And I don't care what Fuzzy Pants 76 says about me, and that has to be it. And I'm not saying that name calling is right, because it's wrong. Anytime you try and degrade somebody for your own personal benefit is absolutely wrong.
Yep.
And there is no place for that. However, I do get to choose whether I take Kevin's words to heart. What does Kevin know? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And at some point we have to, and it's way easier said than done. I'll give you that. But in the end, I have to control my emotions and I have to change my focus. Because right now, if I'm focused on Fuzzy Pants 76 and I'm not focused on my wife and I'm not focused on my career and I'm not focused on my true friendships, I'm wasting time.
Yeah. And you know what? It is so easy to get knocked off course by some naysayer, by some faceless, nameless person, behind a keyboard, hitting their iPhone, and just to get distracted by that, and then to want to respond. I was going to ask you the question, but I'm going to prime it a little bit. But anytime you have anonymous criticism, there is no need to respond. You don't need to try to, get back. Now, if one of my boys comes to me and has something to say, put me in check, hey, that's a whole different. If someone in my band of brothers, my wife comes to me, then I need to take that critique, that criticism.
But that's your accountability group. And I hope everybody out there has one. You have an accountability group. You have certain people that hold you accountable and you work to hold them accountable.
Yeah.
That's different from Mr. Anonymous or Mrs. Anonymous or whoever.
Well, so true. One of the, this is a mantra that I've actually had this for a while, but it goes, I can whine. I'm sorry. Yeah, I said I, but I put you, but anyway, I can whine, I can bitch, I can gripe, or I can go get rich. And you know what? There are choices out there that we all get to make right now. And the choice is going to be, what are we going to do now? Regardless of who's in office, you're still a dad. You're going to have a choice. Do you want to be a fat ass dad or you want to be a badass dad? You still need to provide. You still need to protect. You still need to provide, for your family, all those different things, regardless of who's in there. And I love what Jocko taught us early on, which is just that the idea of extreme ownership and that the integrity that you mentioned, it starts with me. I can't change someone else's integrity. I can't do it, but I have direct influence on me. And, it is, I kind of keep going back to it because I've been at a little practice with this, but no one can do your burpees for you. And here's the reality. I remember Kyle taught me this. Okay. He's taught me so many different things. One thing Kyle taught me is no one likes burpees. There is literally I would think if there's anybody that would like burpees, it would be Kyle. But he says he doesn't even like burpees.
That should tell you everything you need to know. Shout out to Kyle at Fit Republic Southlands.
Yeah, Fit Republic. Go check it out, man. And so, I think our responsibility now, the hand that we're dealt now days after the election, is that we need to go win. We need to go lead. We need to go get results. We need to set the example. We need to be the badass dad that we are called to be. And I'm going to give you a specific area that we can get better, we can get stronger. Even as Tim Kennedy says, we can be harder to kill here. And it is this. I'm going to quote the great Justin Dodge, who was on, several episodes ago. And it's this: be kind. Be kind. Be a good person. Be nice. I told you earlier, but Proverbs 16:23, it says, "The wise are known for their understanding, and pleasant words are persuasive." If you want to be more persuasive, if you want to have more influence, more impact on people, it comes from pleasant words, not yelling, not cussing, not screaming, not calling names, not canceling. That doesn't influence, that doesn't persuade someone, but kind words do. And that gets, that opens the ears up for people to learn and hear. Benjamin Franklin, I shared this with you earlier, but Benjamin Franklin, he had the Poor Richard's Almanac, and in 1744, he was the one that penned this, and he said, "You catch more flies with honey than vinegar." And so if we do want to have impact, which badass dads do want to have impact and influence, you do that with honey, not with spewing venom at people.
And I would, part of that honey, included in the kind words. And I'm going to go back. Now, we've done what, 3 people now that we've done shout outs? Well,
yes.
Let's give Darius Wise.
Yes.
And, the great Darius Wise. He said in a couple of podcasts ago, when you had him on, that we all need grace and we need to listen. And we need to genuinely listen. That's part of the honey. It's the kind words are great, but it's also to sit back and listen for understanding, not to inject your opinion, not to inject your side of the story, and not to find fault with someone's thoughts. Listen to somebody and genuinely listen. And I guarantee you're surprised with what you hear.
Yeah. Well, just to make sure that I rub the fur the wrong way on pretty much everyone, I was listening to a story just yesterday, and it was talking about Barack Obama and one of the darkest times in his time in the Oval Office. And it was just a couple days after Sandy Hook, when there were a couple dozen children that were murdered. And then what he did was, he went there and he met with families and he took the time and he embraced them and he let them be heard. And he scooped up children and laughed. And, the guy that was reporting on this, who was there with him, it was his spiritual advisor, was there. And he's like, he got teary-eyed in there, but he stayed strong and he was able to be there, and he listened to the stories, and and every single family, and it went on for hours, was brokenhearted in the same way. And yet he stayed there through all of them. And I think our ability to listen to people in time of heartbreak in particular is critical. It is critical for us. And so what a great, regardless of how people feel about how he was as president, what a great leadership lesson that is in the darkest of dark times.
I didn't know that story.
There you go.
I really didn't.
There you go.
But it does, and one of the things I think people in that situation understand is the magnitude of the office. And that regardless of who is in the office on Tuesday or Wednesday or whenever we know, I hope they understand the gravity and the magnitude of the office.
Yeah.
And that when President Obama met in Sandy Hook, he wasn't coming as an individual. He was coming as the office, and that's huge.
Yeah. Well, and I'm glad that you mentioned that, because I think one of the key components for us to understand, especially, and I'm going to keep going back to as badass dads, is that we honor and respect and serve the commander in chief. And we have people in uniform, and you know what? They don't get to choose who the commander in chief is. They don't get to, choose who their, the lieutenant or their colonel or whoever it is that's above them. They don't get to choose those things, but their responsibility is to do what is ordered of them. And, I think one of the things that's missing now, all the way from the grassroots level, dealing with, our men and women in blue, is the lack of respect that the people are showing out there, all the way up to, whoever's going to be in the office. And I think that learning to show respect and to require those who are underneath our roof to show respect to those people, I think it's important. I think it is. When we speak ill of someone else, our kids see that, and then they may not understand all the backstory of, what caused us to have the emotion back there, but they see us speak ill of someone who is in an authority position, and that just sets a bad precedent. And I'm telling you, when you sow seeds like that, it's not going to be long until those seeds germinate, and then they develop. And then guess what? They may come back and start pointing fingers at you as the dad. And so it's important for us. We got to show respect to those people. And so here's a suggestion. This may be harsh. This may be too aggressive for some people out there. Maybe what we should do, regardless of what side, who wins or whatever, maybe we should spend more time praying for those in office, honoring those who are in office. Yes, letting our voice be heard. And if we oppose a view, okay, yeah, I get it. But it doesn't mean that we need to, attack those individuals. Jesus, in all of his teaching and everything else, he has this one little phrase, man, that just, it's still hard for me to wrap my head around, definitely hard for me to wrap my heart around. And he says, pray for your enemies. Love those who persecute you. Dude, I am a firm believer that love conquers all, but man, how am I supposed to love those who hate me? That ain't easy. And I'm telling you, I've seen over the last 6 months, some men and women in blue that I get to be really close to, that they are getting spit upon, and you know what? And I'm still watching them love those and serve those that are opposing them. And man, I'm so thankful for all those guys that are out there that are protecting us, that are serving the community, even when it is getting put back in their face. And man, what an amazing! I don't know. I couldn't do it. To be honest, I could not do what they do. I'm too short-tempered or whatever. Who knows? But I think this is a time that, I don't know if it's unprecedented or not, but this is a time for us, for leaders to step up. And when there is chaos, this is a time for greater leadership. This is when leadership actually steps up and serves, as you mentioned earlier.
I agree. I that's a mic drop moment. I would echo your having respect for those in authority, and add to that, why don't we just show respect for everybody, like on all sides? Yeah. Why don't we And the whole, walk a mile in someone's shoes piece. I mean, you don't know where that person's coming from. And again, and it'll go back to my taking a moment to listen to their story, is absolutely huge. And understand that by and large, the people in those communities want to be in those communities. The people working in those communities want to be in those communities. They want to do good. Just yesterday, I spoke with a young lady who serves, and she organized a great community event. And someone found out that, the police were putting this great community event, and they protested it. I'm like, wait a second, what are we doing? But we're not listening to each other. And maybe it's on, and it's probably on both sides. We need to take a step back and listen to what people need and show mutual respect for everybody.
So true. So true. Well, hey guys, you know what? If you're listening to this, then that means that we have survived, that the sun did come up after the 4th of November.
You're making me worried now. I was fine. If this means I get to skip burpees, skip cardio on Wednesday, I'm good.
That, you know, just like all the fear of Y2K, we made it through that 20 years ago, you know. This too shall pass. And, you know, as I've mentioned a few times on this podcast, what's the story we want to tell when the only thing left to tell is the story? And I think the story we want to tell is how we were courageous, that we were full of faith, that when everybody else was cowering and calling names and being disrespectful, that we stood and we were kind and we sought wisdom, and that we decided that regardless of what happened on one particular date, you know, for one election, so what? Man, our role is to be a badass dad no matter what, no matter who's in office, no matter what's going on, no matter the circumstances. We got to find a way to win and be a badass dad. So have a badass day, be a badass dad, and we are out. Hey guys, just want to thank you so much for listening to the Badass Dad podcast. We do need your help though. A couple different things that we could use. We want to grow our podcast and our message out there. We are getting so much great feedback from you guys, but we need your help. So we want to make it into the top 10. So if you could please, share. I guess sharing the podcast is a huge, huge benefit. Also, if you'll comment. So if you'll leave us a comment, like leave us a review, and some 5 stars would be great. The other thing is, if you have a subject you'd love for us to cover, maybe there's something you like the subject shows or an interview, or if there's someone you want us to interview, if you could communicate with us, you can hit me up at kdh@badad.org. So that's kdh@badad.org, or you can go to our Instagram, which is Badass Dads Podcast, and leave us a direct message there. And I'd love to interview people, love to hit the subjects you guys want to hear more about. Thank you so much for helping us grow.